I think your book reveals he was like this long before he met Megyn, and then she exacerbated it. Can you talk about how obsessed he was with his media coverage and his relevance before she ever came into the picture?
Yeah, I think what happened is those two found each other. They both have a profound sense of victimhood, and they fed off each other, and it just spiraled. But yeah, he's long had I characterize it slightly differently to the way you characterize it. He's long had a deep hatred and mistrust of the media, which is incredibly understandable. And I think, in a funny way, I'd think the less of him if he didn't, because of what happened to his mother and the way the media treated his mother, the way they pursued her. I mean, yes, she also encouraged them because she colluded with the media. We all know that. But, she couldn't go anywhere without being chased by the Paps. And we all know the role that they played in her death. So his hatred and mistrust of the media is perfectly understandable. But it's very interesting to contrast it with his brother, William, who basically also hates the media, really, deep down. But he's learnt how to deal with it. He's learnt how to come to an accommodation because he realizes they're not going to go away. And also, they're not all bad. I mean, the entire gamut of media is not the same as the Paps who, chased his mother and were around at the beginning of Harry and Meghan. But of course, Harry doesn't recognize subtle. Harry doesn't really do shades of grey. He does black and white, and the whole media is awful and evil. So anything that the media got wrong, he would obsessively want to get it corrected. He was always absolutely focused on getting things corrected. And even when the BBC in Britain, there was a comedy panel show, and someone made a joke about Harry and drugs. He's got a friend called Sam Van Cutsum, and someone made a joke on air about Thomas Van Cutsum and Harry Smokesome, which wasn't a bad joke, but Harry was just furious, and he went to such lengths to get the BBC to apologise, and including having a big meeting with someone very senior in the BBC.
My goodness.
Who said, in a way, quite rightly, this is comedy. It's a joke. You're not meant to take it too seriously. But that was where Harry was coming from. So he always hated me. He always wanted to get things corrected. But there was so much else going on with him, even before Meghan turned up. So he always had this mistrust of the courtiers from the other households, from Buckingham Palace, the Queen's headquarters, and from Clarence House, which was his father, Prince Charles's headquarters. He just really didn't trust them at all. And he was always, sort of giving loyalty tests to his staff. He was always saying, are you helping me on this, or are you one of them? And one of them meant, the other courtiers, the other households who were, in his view, compromised and didn't really have his best interests at heart. But his other thing was he had an obsession with his shelf life. Because, Harry, for all his faults, Harry's got a lot of good points. And he wanted to use his position, this privileged position as a member of the royal family, to do good in the world. And we saw that with Invictus Games, where in the United States, in Colorado Springs, he saw the Warrior Games for injured and otherwise disabled ex-service people to take part in sort of Paralympic-style games. And he thought that was a terrific idea. And basically, he was going to steal it and make it international. And he did it. He did it incredibly quickly. It was like less than a year from seeing the Warrior Games to when the first Invictus Games happened in London. So he's got a lot of energy. He's got a lot of passion. He wants to do good, but he thinks, with some justification, that there's a limited time in which he can do all that. Because when he becomes middle-aged, when young royals are coming up the inside track, people aren't going to be interested in him. was his view. And so, as he would put it, by the time Prince George is 18, everyone's going to be focusing on George. No one will care less about
Correct.
Uncle. Or,
I mean, he's not wrong. We want to know about George and Charlotte and Louis now. Never mind when they're actually becoming of age and they're adults and George is getting closer to his role in the hierarchy. But to me, this is so interesting because in part it explains why he chose her. It's no actress. It's no accident he wound up with an American actress. The sizzle of it, her B-list fame, her ability to navigate the camera. It wasn't just, I need somebody who can do that here in Great Britain because we'll be the subject of the photographers. It was, I want another social climber. I think he was he had it too.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I mean, I don't think Harry craves attention for the sake of it. I don't think he wants the spotlight, to shine on him just for his own sake. I think he always wanted it to do good. I think he and his wife are slightly different in that respect.
Well, how do you explain Spare?
It was a long howl of anguish is what Spare was. I mean, just to read it, it's such a sad book. He's so damaged, and reading about his fractured family relations, it's quite an insight to realize that his relationship with his brother was not nearly as good as we thought it was. In the days when we still thought it was good, it was not nearly as good as we thought it was. So Harry just wants to complain about the world, chiefly about the media and also about his family. But I know someone who used to have a lot of dealings with William, and William would occasionally bring Harry along. And this person said to me, the thing that Harry was, he's always complaining. He always saw the negative side of things, and you see this. You see this in the book. It's negative, negative, negative. And the way he portrayed, so one of the big themes in the book is how awful the media are. You can't trust them, and they portray me and Megyn in a terrible light. Well, for a start, there was much more positive coverage of Megyn than he gives credit for a long time. Yes, it started to get critical, but it was much better than he thinks. And there are specific instances. It's very interesting where he talks about the coverage. And there was a time they just got married, they'd been on a honeymoon, they'd come back, and Megyn goes off and has a day out in the sort of north of England with the Queen. It's what they call an away day. And they go up by royal train, which was unusual thing. So just the Queen and Megyn. And I remember seeing them off the train. I was there on the platform, and it was a big day, and all the reporters up there. We were all excited. There was a bit of a kerfuffle about getting out the car at one point. Who did the Queen get in or out first, or was it Megyn? There was a slight confusion, and people mentioned it in their reports. But Harry says of it that the press portrayed the day as unmitigated disaster. And I thought, hang on. I was there and I wrote it up and my colleagues wrote it up. Let me remind myself. And I looked up every single newspaper, including the newspapers that Harry hates the most, papers in Britain like The Sun and the Daily Mail, which really get all his absolute invective. And I looked them all up, and they were all glowingly positive. I mean, it was a lovely day out. There were lovely pictures. There was a fantastic picture of the opening of some bridge, the Queen and Megyn sitting there, and they were laughing at it. So they're having a right old giggle together.
Valentine, know how people who have eating disorders have body dysmorphia? He's got press dysmorphia. Like many people, I am eating healthier these days, and that's why I love good olive oil. And by good, I mean fresh. Freshness makes all the difference. Olive oil packs the most flavor and healthiest nutrients when it's fresh from the farm. And that is the problem with supermarket olive oils. They're not fresh. They can be sitting on that shelf for God knows how many months, growing stale. That is why I like my olive oil direct from small, award-winning farms, and I get it thanks to a guy named TJ Robinson, also known as the Olive Oil Hunter. When I first tasted TJ's farm fresh oils, I fell in love with them. Vibrant, grassy, delicious flavors. They are amazing on salads, veggies, pasta, meat, fish, whatever you put olive oil on. And as an introduction to his fresh-pressed olive oil club, TJ is willing to send you a full-size bottle of one of the world's finest artisanal olive oils. It's worth $39 for just $1 charged to you, just one, to help him cover the shipping. Best of all, there's never a commitment to buy anything, and you can cancel your membership at any time. Get your free $39 bottle for just $1 shipping and taste the difference freshness makes. Go to harvestfreshnow.com. harvestfreshnow.com for a free bottle and pay just $1 in shipping. harvestfreshnow.com. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.